But the big one that I want to go for is a magician.
A magician.
I want them to assign him a captain role.
And hypnotize them at the coin toss.
No. He can replace the coin with his coin. That's a double head coin.
Oh, Harvey Two-Face. Yeah. Let's get Harvey down.
And then we pick Ed all the time. And so we pick the ball.
And then we
the
take
time.
the ball first. Then we
Absolutely.
defer. Yeah. We win it every time, so we can defer every time. I like this idea, Dad.
For the magician to be signed, he'd probably be fairly affordable.
Yeah. I haven't looked at the salary cap numbers on magicians lately.
And just exchange the coin, be a double-headed coin, and then we pick the ball all the
Can you
time.
imagine Chris Angel out there at the 50-yard line in front of everybody levitating?
Just mind freak.
I'm not playing these guys. Did you see what he did?
Outside the den, inside the barn. Motor City Pride. We've been waiting long. Mic check 1, 2. Podcast booth tight. Been breaking down plays every Sunday night. From the den, we step to the barn, we roll. Analyzing film clips. How the stories told. Lions on the rise.
All right, welcome back, One Pride, to, I forget the episode 19.
19, I guess.
19,
Yeah.
Episode 19 of Outside the Den,
Inside the Barn.
Today coming from you, to you from Brother Josh's basement. My name is Jake. Right next to me is Crazy Play Steve. Here at the top of the episode this week, we got Cousin Lyle over here, Big Brother Josh right there, and we are here. This is our season wrap-up special. Kind of an exciting episode, significantly less exciting than it would be to just preview the upcoming divisional round game that we are not in, but it'd be nice to have been so. Before we get into it, really quick, keep it to one sentence, guys, because we got a lot to talk about today. But how are you all doing? I'm going to start with Big Brother Josh on there. How are you doing, sir?
Getting by.
Getting by. Wow.
Just observing the playoffs with a lot less passion.
How about you, Dad? How you doing today?
I'm freezing my butt off.
It is really cold out there, and I'm going to second that, sir.
I need to be in Florida.
Yeah.
It's not.
There's a lot of
And it's
It's
cold.
not spring training yet.
It's cold down there, too.
This is Cancun week. You could go Cancun.
Yeah, I'm the only one who came dressed for the occasion, but that's okay. And then before we get into the Lions Week 18 matchup, because we did take a week off to mourn the season, we're going to start with the term of the week.
I pass the knowledge down to you. Break it simple, make it true. Every week
It is the end of the regular season. The wild card round happened this past week. We're not going to really talk about those games because ultimately we don't really care about those games. But we're going to talk about the word snubbed. And, snubbed can be used in a lot of different ways, but you see it a lot in sports whenever season awards are given out or the Pro Bowl is going out. And we're going to talk about, the Lions had a few All-Pros this year on the AP All-Pro list. But one player that over the last couple of years has been very, very competitive, has statistically one of the very top quarterbacks in the league, although the rhetoric around him would say otherwise. Jared Goff has been snubbed many years from multiple lists, and what snub means is that somebody is excluded from something, in this case, an All-Pro list, Pro Bowl list, whatever, that many people felt that they were deserving of. Jared Goff was top 3 to 5 in almost every passing statistical category. I will relent that I do think Drake May and Matthew Stafford, they're, I believe, the two leading MVP candidates. Those are quarterbacks I can confidently say had better years than Jared Goff. But Jared Goff did outperform a lot of other top quarterbacks in the league this year. A lot of them, Lamar missed significant time due to injury. Joe Burrow missed significant time due to injury. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes had a really down year. But then he's out for the rest of the season. And that was it week 14, 15, something like that. But the Chiefs are already out of the playoffs by then. For a lot of us who are big Jared Goff fans, I think everyone at the table here loves Jared Goff to a certain extent, but we all do love him as our quarterback. He got snubbed from these lists, specifically I would say the Pro Bowl, because the Patriots are on fire. Rams, they are a 5 seed, but They look hot right now. The Panthers really took it to them this past week, but I did say we weren't talking about those games. But, we've had a number of times where players got snubbed, and I've even used that word a number of times, and I was proven wrong, as we'll get to later in the episode.
One thing for me to say, I love the in-the-pocket quarterback.
Yep.
That can just,
stay in the pocket.
Distribute. Yeah, that's the word.
Yep.
Distribute to other players and have them be a part of the win.
Yeah.
And the Buffalo Bills quarterback, he has to score 2 touchdowns because apparently they don't have the players to do it. So
their wide receiver room is very thin at the moment. They don't.
So
Diggs even right now.
Yeah. Diggs he's killing it with
Davis
the Patriots. Gabe Davis is back.
Yeah.
In that second touchdown, they let him in just so they had time on the clock. So.
Yeah.
So my point is, I think it's boring when you have that quarterback scoring your points for you when you need to have the other people do it. It's more exciting, more interesting, more creative, you name it. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And guest starring on the show is Michael Vick. Come on, Michael, come on in. Just kidding.
That's interesting because that's kind of an old school thought. I think a lot of people these days are now progressing towards liking that multi-dimensional quarterback, the out-of-the-pocket quarterback, the guy that can create things with his legs and that kind of thing. So it's a different take on that than I think a lot of the trends and the norms are going these days.
Yep, I stand out in left field, I guess.
While Dad's out in left field, the rest of us are going to call him back into the barn. And snubbed is our term of the week, and we're going to move on to our kind of takeaways from the game 2 weekends ago against the Chicago Bears.
Montgomery running through the defensive wall. St. Brown catching every single call.
All right, so on January 4th, we were recording this on January 15th, so quite a ways away since we last recorded. The Detroit Lions in their Week 18 matchup in Chicago at Soldier Field against the number was it the
number 2 seed, yeah.
The number 2 seed Chicago Bears defeated them 19-16. The Detroit Lions were up 16-0, and then the Bears started to score.
As they are tending to do these days.
They're working on those comeback wins, which, a lot of people will argue that, they were barely beaten teams, but at the same time, learning how to win a football game, that's really good experience for a player, especially like Caleb Williams, to learn how to come back into a game and win that game. But really quick, just throw out our statistical leaders because we have a lot we got to get to today. Jared Goff, 27 for 42, 331 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I thought he played pretty good on the day. Jahmyr Gibbs kind of got back a little bit to form, 19 carries, 80 yards. I believe he had a passing touchdown as well, or he caught one. That was Jared Goff's. And then St. Brown looked fantastic, 11 catches, 139 yards. I think an early drop, but
lots of
imitations
of the Bears celebration.
So. But I believe So Gibbs made the single touchdown. Jake Bates looked pretty darn good, kicking 4 field goals. But but further ado, we'll just go right away into our takeaways. Josh, we'll start with you.
The thing I liked is what I expected. Dan Campbell, he stayed the course. The players stayed the course. They gave us fans something at the end of the season, hope. If we would have went in with 4 or 5 loss, that would have not been good for the offseason. So, obviously knowing that the Bears really didn't have to win that game, I don't think it had any impact on there.
No, they still ended up with this.
If they would have lost in Philadelphia, would have won. They would have flip flopped. But by the time that game was getting ready to be done, the Eagles already had lost, so the Bears were locked in at the 2 seed there.
Yeah, so the Bears didn't really have anything to win or lose in that regard other than the game. Mm-hmm. But it's nice that we could end it on a win. It kind of is somewhat reminiscent of that Packers game where we were out of the playoffs, but they still they went and won. So that's good. That stuck to the I guess the message that Campbell and Holmes and Sheila like to have. To me, I know we just kind of talked about this with the Bears. It proved to me that they weren't worthy of being in the top spot. Barely winning games, not dominating like we were the year before. obviously we know where that landed us, but regardless, there should be no longer a question whether or not Goff can play in bad weather. I thought he played good. His season, you mentioned his stats and where he landed. Matter of fact, I looked in the past 5 years when it came to his stats and everybody else's, and you'd be surprised where he lands for the amount of crap that he gets. He's actually, he beats Mahomes in a lot of categories. And so, anyways, that should be in the past. No more talking about that. End of discussion. The one thing I did like is, even though maybe it was an ill-timed call, is that razzle-dazzle play they tried to get, with Monty involved.
Yep.
I think that might have been something like, hey, we still see you as an important piece.
You mean David Montgomery? That's where you're.
Yeah, what did I say?
Well, you didn't do the full transition.
Oh, sorry.
Just clarifying.
Yeah.
Clarifying.
Yeah, Monty.
Yep.
So for him to, it might be a little, too little too late for him. Hopefully not. Obviously everybody's analyzing everything he posts on Instagram. But I think what Holmes said in his press conference was, he needs to be someplace that can utilize him. I think we can utilize him. I think, Sonic and Knuckles has to stay together. Gibbs, he's is a good counterpart to that. So that was kind of nice to see. And overall, when you look at the season, his numbers weren't overly bad. I mean, he could have been more involved for sure. But it's a pretty solid, number 2 numbers, really. But that's my opinion.
No. Yeah. We all have them, don't we, Josh?
More than some.
Right?
One thing
opinions are like certain other things
Yes.
that we all have.
One thing I can add to that is players could have sat.
Yeah.
But Goff was adamant that he was going to play.
Yeah.
And there's other people like St. Brown was going to play. And Campbell was coaching as if this was just as important as any game. And so when you look at that, you look at the class they carry with them. They are classy people, and they cared about the fans enough to give them their best. And so that's what I want to point out is the classiness that goes along with their efforts. So,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, kind of along those lines too. I really thought this was a game after watching the previous 2 weeks where it felt like the Lions were back to being the Lions in this game. They came out there with the edge.
SOL, right?
Yeah, they came out with the edge. They came out and established the run finally a little bit, which they hadn't been able to do. They got the passes going. They looked like the more sharp. They looked like the playoff team as opposed to the Bears, who are struggling out there. They couldn't get anything going in the first half. Really not anything until the fourth quarter for the most part. And then they did that thing that they seem to do where they do, make a comeback there. But I always felt like it's okay, depending, as long as we've got the ball at the end of the game, we're going to win this game. And that's what ended up happening. So it was just nice to see some complimentary football finally.
Yeah.
Some of the exacting the will on the other team and being the team that seemed to be in control of this thing. Kudos, for withstanding that Bears comeback, and again, not much to play for there. So if they rolled over and didn't end up winning the game, who really cares at the end of it? We had already, speaking of the Bears being locked into the second seed, we were already locked into the fourth place schedule. We had already, because the Vikings had won earlier in the day, so that wasn't going to matter. But it mattered to the team. It mattered to Dan Campbell. It mattered to Jared Goff. It mattered to Aiden Hutchinson and the rest of the defense. So they went out there and they won it. On an individual case there, I was so glad to see Tyleek, our first round pick, get some real run in this game, and he showed up. I mean, he made some plays,
batted down ball too.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And then we got a chance to see Wingo. We got a chance to see Makai Wingo
he
finally.
looked pretty good.
He looked pretty good too, and it made me wonder why we hadn't seen more of him at the end of the year here.
He's been a healthy scratch for like 14 straight weeks.
So again, just a couple of players that I think are still in the hopefully in the plans for the future for this team that I want to see more of next year.
Yeah. So, and I think I want to highlight a couple things because we'll have to see what's going on, but kind of with the moves that they'll make. But this team has such a young nucleus, and it's so important to put players on the team that can contribute. And, I've been hypercritical both on and especially off the podcast about drafting these experimental players. But players like Mahogany and Wingo were really, I think, steals at the time when they were drafted in the sixth round, because those guys were ranked a lot higher. They were both, a lot of experts had them listed as top 100 players in that draft. But yeah, seeing him play, get some reps, getting to our first round pick, which is, once again, you want to hopefully draft a superstar, if not at least a star player on your team, I think is really big. I have a lot of thoughts on the defensive tackle room, and I do think it was really important. I made a comment in our previous episode about getting Tyleek those reps, seeing what he can do against, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but the best offensive line in the NFC North as of the
How did that happen?
Oh, you spend money, Lyle. That's what you do. You spend money.
I guess so.
But nonetheless, the Lions' offense was cooking, but just stalled out once they got to the red zone or on their side of the field, which is why we had to kick 4 field goals. But, those 3 quarters that they kept this Bears offense, that they kept Ben Johnson, the best offensive mind in football, down. And once again, the Bears scored twice in the fourth quarter and just got 2-point conversions, which ended up tying up the game. But the defense looked fantastic. And, I brought up in my matchups last week or 2 weeks ago that, Calvin Shepard really had to go out there and show out against Ben Johnson. Maybe not necessarily get the win, but you got to see them hold a Ben Johnson offense at home or away, right on the road. At home for the Bears, but you have to see them really kind of hold down their offense, which they absolutely did. I mean, Caleb Williams, not the first 4,000-yard passer, because once again they only count regular season. So the Bears are still the only franchise in NFL history that did not have a quarterback there for 4,000 yards, which is crazy because they're one of the oldest. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I'm one of those people that wouldn't have been that upset losing, because that could have given us a better draft pick. But at that point, with how some of the other games played out, it would have been the difference between like 16 and 18. And, at that point, it would be one thing if we would have lost, we would have got like the 14th or 13th pick. Then it's like, okay, well, hold on now, because that's a pick we could trade back for, get some assets if we, feel good about what we see in the draft. But nonetheless, I think the Lions played a rather very good game, especially for such a down year and against a team that was supposed to go out there and kick their butts, a team that I predicted would drop 50 points on us. They did not. So happy to be wrong on that. Happy to celebrate a victory. And now we're in the off season. So any final thoughts, you guys?
Well, just to add to the draft pick thing.
Yeah.
Campbell and Holmes aren't afraid to trade up.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you skip a couple, if they saw somebody they wanted to get or had to get, they would find a way to trade up.
Yeah.
So when you think about being stuck with that pick, but those two guys, they like to play that game quite a bit, and so that's good for us. Yeah. So that's where I didn't worry too much about that.
All around the town, Ford Field rocking crowd on their feet. Podcast popping, can't accept defeat.
Time to get to our Detroit Lions season recap. Lions finished 9-8, above 500, but unfortunately in 4th place in the NFC North. Once again, another year of the NFC North being one of the best divisions in football, divisions in football. Unfortunately, we do tie record-wise with the Vikings, but unfortunately they did sweep us this year, which puts them back in 4th place. And I don't have really the numbers. Josh, if you feel so inclined, if you feel you want to, you can cut in our predictions on our season stat leaders. But I'll just go through our stat leaders for the year. We have passing, Jared Goff, 4,564 yards, 68% completion, pretty standard Jared Goff numbers. Very accurate here. 34 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, pretty decent rate right there. Rushing leader, no surprise, Jahmyr Gibbs, 1,223 yards, 13 touchdowns on the ground. Yeah, Montgomery also, once again, if you look at him as a backup running back, 716 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, pretty good numbers, but that is not how they've been running him in the past couple of years. So this was his first year as a backup, which once again is a thing we either had to adjust to, and I don't think a lot of us Lions fans really did. And you can see that kind of usage especially significantly decrease going into the latter half of the year. Receiving, no real surprise right there. St. Brown, barely 1,400 and a single yard, 11 touchdowns. Pretty great stats for him. And then J-Mud, solid numbers too, that I didn't put down there, but he was over 1,000 yards.
It just has solid numbers too.
Solid.
But I mean, between the two,
I typed that. That's so funny. I did this a couple days ago. But he had over 1,000 yards as well. He really came alive, and he was the focal point of the offense a couple times, which, once again, not necessarily what we think we'd want to see, but knowing that he can go out there and play and perform as a wide receiver one bodes very well for the future, especially because the Lions did extend him.
I got to wonder if their 2 yardage duo, if there was anybody that was higher.
I thought I saw something the other day. There wasn't.
Yeah.
They were the leaders.
Yeah, because I think St. Brown was, 4th, and he was 9th out of the top 10.
Right. They were the only ones that had
leaders.
2 in the top 10, so it had to be, right?
Yeah.
And then Jack Campbell didn't lead the league, but still a monstrous 176 total tackles on the year. 89 solo, which it felt like it should have been more because I felt like we were always hearing Jack Campbell's name, whether we were at Ford Field or at the watch parties, and then 87 assisted tackles. We had 2 fairly decent sack leaders right here. Aiden Hutchinson, coming back off of a season-ending horrific leg injury last year, got 14.5 tackles, was half a sacks, half a sack away from tying the all-time record set by Robert Porcher. And officially. And then Al-Quadin Muhammad had 11 sacks himself as a situational pass rusher, or what he should be. And then even though we haven't seen him since like week 6 or 7, Kirby Joseph, last year All-Pro safety, Kirby Joseph led the Lions defense with 3 interceptions.
I mean, how many interceptions did we have total for the year?
It
wasn't many.
It was not good. It was not good. Maybe, honestly, I think it might have been 7. Maybe.
Oof.
Which is not good.
One by Maddox at the end.
Yeah. So, a couple guys had 1. I think, who was it?
DJ Reed had 1.
He had 2.
Robinson had 1.
Did he have 2? Okay.
DJ Reed had 2.
Nice.
And Kirby Joseph had 3. So, so those are, I don't think any of those leaders right there are surprising to any one of us. Those are quite literally our best players at those positions. And you're going to hear shortly just how good the voters think of some of these players. But we're going to go really quick into our favorite moments. Dad, I didn't know you'd be here for the whole episode, so I will be asking you as well. And actually, Dad, I'm going to start with you. What was your favorite moment? It could be play in a game. It could have been a game as a whole. It could have been hanging out at Ford Field with the family. It could have been at a watch party. What was your favorite moment from the 2025 NFL season in regards to our Detroit Lions?
Well,
could have been the podcast.
I'm going to center around Tom Kennedy.
Yeah, I knew
Tom Kennedy.
TK85.
As he's wearing Rodrigo's jersey, but we know he's got a TK85 at home.
It's a 2-parter in a way. Because I went to the game that day and bought a Kennedy, had him make it.
Cowboys game, yeah.
They made it before the game started. Yeah. Okay, and he had 3 tremendous runs back.
4 actually,
and it earned him.
He had 4, and they were definitely
4. Yeah. But 3 of them were
really good.
Yeah, and then he ended up getting one of the game balls. And the applause from his teammates was louder than any applause that I heard in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so those were my favorite things because I kind of lean towards the underdog.
Yeah.
And I have something to say later on a little bit towards him too. But I'd have to say those have to be my favorite ones is because he really did show how good he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe Campbell might have been a little surprised. Not completely surprised, but a little surprised.
Well, it was enough in the next game. I don't think they kicked to him, right?
Well, they stopped kicking to him in that game. And then the next, they stayed away from him. Yeah. And then in one game, they started kicking it to him again. Yeah. But they were watching him better. So anyways, I'm happy to see that happen for him because he's been a loyal, hardworking player for them for 4 years, 5 years, something
Been
like
At
around for a
least, I
while,
mean,
yeah.
it feels like he's been there forever, kind of a
He's
thing.
been on the team since before
I think
St. Brown was.
I think he changed his name at some point. At some point, I think it was Mike Fury. But
But anyways, that is my contribution.
All right. So we got some Tom Kennedy love over here. It's not going to be the last time we mention him, by the way, in today's episode. Josh.
well, I have a few. In regards to the Lions sweeping the Bears, that was great.
Oh, yeah.
The first time we got the only 50 burger. Ding.
I think they were
This
the
season?
only team to score 50 against a team this season. in the
Oh,
regular
really?
Season, I believe
I
so.
didn't know that. Well, there you go.
I believe.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
that right?
thinking back, that's probably right. I don't remember a lot of high-scoring games
yeah.
this year.
Yeah, obviously the first one was, Dan taking over the play calling, but the second one was for pride and leave us with hope, which is a staple to any Detroit Lion fan. So, for our podcast, I really had a lot of fun with the Halloween episode.
Oh, yeah.
And then the watch party, my oldest son, we celebrated him and his now fiance.
Yeah.
At the beginning of that. And then my second favorite watch party was the Christmas tree caper involving Crazy Play Steve. That was fun to get a live tree.
Sending the fall man over here.
He was the mastermind, is what Josh is trying to say. I didn't have anything to do with it.
So, and then, I did have fun with the Dundees, D-O-N-E-D's. And it sounds like maybe we're going to make that a regular thing at the end of the regular season. Uh-oh.
Working Brad right in time for the favorite moments of the year.
All right. Hold on. Are you there, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay. So just wrapping up real quick. We'll continue with the Dundees, regardless of whether we're done or not. So,
The Dundees?
yeah, you missed it. The final watch party. We did Dundees, and I think my favorite one was Tori's, which was what's the quote again? The 2 toes, 3 toes,
And one ass cheek and
Yeah.
3 toes.
It was the 1 ass cheek and 3 toes injury bug award went to Tori because she seems to injure herself every season. But
yeah.
So I've got yours
More
too.
than the Lions defense.
I've got yours too, but I didn't know if you were coming. So anyhow, so that's my favorite moments of the 2025 season. Do you want to run to Brad or to Lyle?
Yeah, Brad, we're gonna jump you right in. So first, what was your favorite moment from this past Detroit Lions season? I know there were there's quite a bit of heartbreak, but there were some fun moments too. Do you have a moment in particular that you might look back on the season fondly?
Probably this one's already taken, but I would say the win over the Ravens was kind of a special win.
Breaking Brad jumps in front of me on this one.
How's it feel? Lyle?
Yeah.
All right, explain, Brad. What made it special for you?
Well, obviously they just got hammered at Ravens. What was it? 2 years prior to that. And then, there was some doubt still, right? I mean, they were 1-1 at that time. They just killed the Bears, which who would have thought at that point the Bears would win the division, right? I mean, that's just unbelievable to think of that now. But just what a great win that was. And, you can look back at it and say, the Ravens didn't make the playoffs either. They were 8-9. Well, Jackson got hurt for a good stretch of games there that they lost. And that Ravens team, had they finished, intact like they were that night at that point in time, they definitely would have won that division, in my opinion. I don't think much of the Steelers. And, that win was bigger than, if we look at it 10 years from now, the Ravens weren't that good. No, they were really good. That was a really good team, and they beat them on the road. That was a highlight. You could say the Tampa Bay game was also a highlight just because that was kind of the last game I felt, this team's still a Super Bowl team. After that, it was like they lose against Minnesota, and they went, back and forth the rest of the year. But in fact, I don't think they ever won 2 games again in a row again. So,
Right.
So anyway, I'd go back to that Ravens game as the highlight.
All right, thank you, Brad. And Cousin Lyle, I know yours was just stolen, but do you have any other further points?
I had a backup. I had a backup, which is a good
like
thing.
that.
But just to tack on that, after that Baltimore game, that's when I really felt like, okay, we are that team. We are ready to keep rolling, and it's just going to be repeat. And then, of course, it didn't end up being anything like that. And like you say, the Ravens too ended up being a lot less than, and the Chiefs ended up being a lot less than, and some of those things that you would have never guessed at the beginning of the year. But at that point in time, that's when I probably felt the best about the team. My backup here was the Cowboys game. It was my only game that I attended in person this year. Picked a good one. And it relates to the Tom Kennedy thing, but there was a lot of things in that game. It was just one of those. It was fun to watch. Offensive explosions. Brandon,
play.
Great defensive play. Brandon Aubrey kicking things from 75, 80 yards. I don't know how many it was. That kind of a thing, keeping them in it. But it was the Lions taking control of that. Explosive run plays and just an atmosphere on a Thursday night when everybody was ready to cut it loose, and we felt real good again about the team. And at that point, that was, I think, really the last point where I felt like, okay, we can get this thing on track and really blow through and potentially make it a special season. So that was a great night. Of course, unfortunately, Brian Branch getting injured at the very end of that put a little bit of a damper on it, especially when we heard afterwards how extensive it was. But yeah,
we just can't play the Cowboys anymore.
Yeah, they just always there's just nothing good is going to come out of playing the Cowboys in most cases. There's always going to be a bad news thing to it.
Yeah.
And
that is 3 years in a row. The garbage, ineligible, whatever.
Yeah.
Then obviously Hutch and then Brian Branch.
And as far as the podcast go, since I've got Brad on the phone there was that at the end of the episode where Brad wouldn't let it go, something that that Crazy Play Steve said. There was a little bit of bickering back and forth, and I believe that Brad was invited to jump into a body of water at that point.
That's an old term used in probably the 50s and early 60s.
Yeah.
So he may have not ever heard that one.
Yeah, by my father, no less.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Brad, I know you have a body of water just outside your door there, so go jump in the pond.
Yeah, it's definitely not full of stuff and maybe dead animals.
I'm not sure if it's not frozen right now, so I might not,
all the more reason to jump.
I might not get wet.
Well, I did not say that I would jump in after you to save you.
Whoa.
Ooh, still, I think there's still some sentiment there, some soreness.
I think we're going to have the point counterpoint.
Yeah. I will say this season was a really tough watch, especially because I had a friend on a number of teams that got to really enjoy some comeuppance. Shout out to my friend Ben. He is a Bears fan, so he's absolutely loved this season. Shout out to my buddy TJ, one of my best friends in the world. Your Patriots have not been bad long enough, so
I know that's not right. It's just not right.
Love you, buddy, but screw you, buddy.
Screw you, pal.
So. I had to try and find moments that, kind of reminded me why I'm a Lions fan. Going to each and every game that I could this year was a lot of fun. Got to spend time with, a lot of family, got to see some friends there, run into my old second grade teacher. Shout out Miss Evans, you angel. But, sitting every week here with you guys, talking football, a lot of times me and Brad would have a 2-hour-long phone call about each Lions game. But this has been fun, we get to talk every week, sometimes agree, sometimes disagree. I know Brad's going to disagree with some things that I'll say later in the podcast. But this was probably my favorite moment, getting to do this every week with you.
Can you imagine if we would have started this last year?
Oh my God! Last year would have been so much fun.
Until the end.
Yeah. So, but regardless, Bears one was awesome. Ravens game was probably my single favorite game of the year. And honestly, one of my biggest things was just seeing some of these draft picks that were either criticized or maybe certain narratives around them were kind of proven wrong. Right? Jack Campbell was given the green dot this year on the defense. Absolutely incredible player.
Stud.
Absolute stud. I kept saying all season long, all pro season, Jack incoming. Jamison Williams really, we'll get a little bit more into that, but, I was very concerned about trading all these picks away for a wide receiver in Isaac Tesla, which he looked great as a wide receiver 3, probably could be a wide receiver 2 on a number of teams. But Jamison Williams kind of coming alive and taking away some of that responsibility from St. Brown, kind of helped us when St. Brown was dealing with injury or clearly wasn't playing up to his standard. And then obviously that last game, seeing Tyleek Williams get in and make some big impactful plays along with Mekhi Wingo. I think the Lions still have a very bright future ahead of them. I think there's things that they need to do. And I think that this season, silver lining to it is that it's kind of a wake-up call for the organization and fans as a whole is that, hey, just because the Lions are cruising doesn't mean other teams aren't getting better. And you got to kind of match them. So, but we're going to pivot now, and I kind of started
We started on the optimistic side. Now we got to go to
the other way. Yeah.
We're going to talk about everyone's least favorite moment for the 2025 NFL
Well, hey, Jake, before we go to least favorite moment real quick,
go ahead.
I'm just curious because I was late. Did anyone say that their favorite moment of the season was the last or the second win against the Bears, the last game of the season?
I touched on it a little bit, being second
Josh,
time was
because it does give you some hope for the future. Like, okay, they, just didn't show the true colors enough this year, kind of thing.
Here's what I had to say. Second time was for pride and leave the fans with hope, a staple in the Lions fan base.
Yeah, and I touched on it as well, Brad. My biggest thing was I highlighted Calvin Shepard against Ben Johnson going into this game because a lot of people are calling for Shep's head. I think it's a little premature to do so. I can understand why fans would want to try a new defensive coordinator, but I think that Bears game, along with some other performances we saw this year, are a good enough reason to maybe keep Shep another year because we did see flashes. And I mean, he lost almost the entire secondary, which is, I hate using the injury excuse outside of last year when we literally lost everybody but Jack Campbell and our 2 safeties. But the Lions played good that game. They just couldn't get in the end zone for those first couple of quarters.
To counter your Shepard comment, I mean, not necessarily counter it, but like, to be honest, I don't know what to think about that guy. I mean, to your point, Jake, there was games where the defense looked incredible.
The Eagles, they look great. Couldn't just
and
that might have more to do with the Eagles, though.
Right,
Kevin Patullo.
But there's other games out there. You can go back to the Ravens game. The Ravens, you remember they scored a touchdown right at the end of the game that didn't even matter. Yeah. They held them at 24 points, and that's not too bad for Lamar Jackson. They don't allow running quarterbacks anymore, which is good. Right. And it's in Shepard's first year, so you got to expect some growth there.
Oh yeah, right.
But with that being said, I think that the talent on that, even with the secondary banged up, was good enough to be better than it was. And here, I mean, halfway through the season, when they're number 1 or number 2 in the whole league in offense, they removed Johnny Morton and he's gone. I mean, let's face it, we've seen elite offense a lot in Detroit. We don't see elite defense very often. So is he the right guy or is he not? I don't even know.
Well, I think they played good enough to keep us in a lot of games. It's just a couple things here and there, and as we get into least favorite moments, I'll touch upon my favorite topic. But
well, Josh, how about you keep going as I'll call on you again? Let's go to least favorite moments.
Least favorite moments: losing both times to the Vikings. The first time I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I do think there were 2 very critical garbage calls on roughing the passer on 9. Everybody's opinion was that those shouldn't have been called. That kept those drives alive, which whatever. And we still played a crappy game, but only lost by 3. Second time we played them, obviously, was much worse. I can't throw that one on the refs, but just losing to the Vikings twice after, them being a contender last year and us, beating them. And then the continuing ref controversies. I still say
it's
out
covering
of
the whole gamut.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering the fact that of our 8 losses, I still say 5 for sure were controversial call based, and it's spread around the league now. Everybody's complaining about it because it's just plain simply just atrocious. outside the den, inside the barn. My least favorite is recapping the losses. And then the watch party, just being sick for the Christmas one. I'm still kind of fighting whatever I have. But
Yeah. And Brad, I'll let you follow up in case you want to piggyback off any of that.
Least favorite moment. There's a lot of.
Is it possibly
Hard
when
to
your
pick
own
one.
father told you to jump into a lake?
Yeah, that would be
TV.
the podcast one. Let's put that one on the podcast one.
Gee, I highlighted that one. I thought it was great. Non-immediate family member laughing at it.
hey, we
Lyle-
need viewers. That's how we get viewers. Next time we're putting you in a boxing ring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lyle just wanted to see you with wet hair.
yeah, that was it. See if you'd actually.
Well,
take
I would say the worst game for me, it'd have to be Christmas Day because it's Christmas Day. I don't even remember the name of the quarterback they faced,
Max Brosman.
and they lost in a game that eliminated from the playoffs. And had they won it, they would have made it.
Yeah.
You know, by today's standards. Now, granted, a couple of things could have went their way. No, like.
But if
Like
Week 18
Packers
would have
could've
played
played
out
more
the
guys
exact
or
same
something.
way, they would have made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
And then, you know, Josh makes a point about the refereeing because the Eagles game, they should have got one more chance. You know, one more chance could have been all they needed. The Steelers game, I believe they won it. I don't think that was a pick. I think they won the game. And it came back. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking the Tesla one.
right. The call on. Tesla. Yeah.
No, St. Brown.
That
He
wasn't
was
a
the one
pick.
that-
That was
Oh,
OPI.
St. Brown was setting the pick, right? No, Tesla was.
No.
Correct. They called it on
Tesla's-
Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
St. Brown
The first
touchdown.
one was a St. Brown touchdown. Tesla.
Yeah, and that was not a pick.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I mean,
Right.
he was running a route almost.
And
wasn't
he
even-
got
I don't even
pushed by
think in it.
the other defender into
if
him.
you see the replay,
Yeah.
if they would have reviewed it, properly, right, as far as we would consider it properly, you can see that Tesla is trying to run a route,
Yes.
and the guy runs into him and just stops where he is.
And he did.
Yeah.
He basically did the equivalent to playing for the rules or whatever, and he got beat by St. Brown. Legitimately got beat, and he found a way to get a flag.
Right. I mean, that's
Yeah.
almost what they do. I mean, because if the wide receiver is that wide open, you know that the refs are going to go, wait a minute, was there a pick there? You know what? I think there was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And every team designs passing plays to essentially take advantage of that. Every team does it. It is intentional,
Right.
but the thing is, can you get away with it?
Right.
And you see with defensive backs all over the league is that's why you see them pull and push a little bit more because they do test to see how touchy are they.
Yeah, think about this.
Right.
What if St. Brown had been 2 or 3 yards closer to where that happened? Does that flag get thrown?
Right. That's
Probably not.
that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. So
Well, it's just like
Well, regardless, with those calls and I would say there was 2 touchdowns in the Thanksgiving game that I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think those are touchdowns, or at least the Lions should have had a chance to make it a field goal, which changes the game, and they only lost by a touchdown.
Hold on. Time out, Brad. Oh, sorry, I didn't get it off in time.
What do you think? Wink, wink, wink.
Yeah.
What's that?
he was making a joke about how there were like 5 different instances where
Yeah.
The false
Matt
start,
LaFleur,
timeout,
yeah.
garbage. Yeah.
yeah.
Right, but the point I'm trying to make is, the cool thing about it is with Dan Campbell in this era is I'm really not even thinking about that. Like he's even trained the fans like, hey, who cares about a call? Like we're better than that. We're gonna outplay the refs.
to Josh.
Like Dad will say all the
it
time,
hasn't
outplay
sunk
the
in
refs.
here, bud. It hasn't hit
Josh
home.
missed that loyal
I didn't
Lions
get that memo.
member.
Yeah, I did not get that memo.
Well, anyway, I think that's the mentality now because there's no doubt in my mind those calls are not. The Lions should have made the playoffs.
Well,
I think they will going forward.
Let's go back to the catalyst for all of this. When they asked Dan Campbell on the radio, were you told that they called down and to reverse it? Yeah, he didn't want to answer it because he knew the second that he told the truth, which he's gonna do, that's when the league started holding him. Like, fine, if that's the way you're gonna be, have fun in Cancun. That's how early that started. And then, of course, they're poster boy team doesn't even come close to making it because Mahomes. Oh, which by the way, did Collinsworth retire now because Mahomes isn't back?
I don't know.
Anyways, did you see that Peacock is going to release a version where you can mute the commentators?
I did hear that.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's exciting. But now we got to pay for Peacock though. Now.
Yeah. Well, and Disney apparently just is striking a deal with the NFL, so
Yeah. We'll see.
Just watch the Manning cast.
yeah, that's probably would have been the smarter move.
Did you guys see the recent one on that one with Marshawn Lynch?
yeah.
No, I didn't.
I did not.
Oh, that's great. So, Brad, you're talking about the
Anything with
swearing thing?
Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. Tell them about that.
So, Josh, I'm going to task you to bleep this out.
Oh, great.
And Dad, cover your ears.
Well, if we're going to do that, I want to do it all in one area. So if anybody else has any, we're going to Shane Bowen the rest of this conversation.
Yeah, right? So they said they told Marshawn, like, hey, like, the first time around, he kind of swore, like, you don't want to do that because you get fined or whatever. They get fined for it. And then Peyton made a comment, like, or he's like, oh, yeah, so you guys have to pay that. He's like, don't worry, Eli pays it. And he goes,
Shane Bowen.
just like right on ESPN. I'm just like, geez, Marshawn, what are you doing? And make sure you bleep that out.
We have a no swearing policy here at the
That's true.
Bears organization.
Also, I do have a quick point of order. We can't use Shane Bowen anymore.
Oh yeah. 'Cause he's gone.
Bye.
No, because one of my very best friends in the world, my guy Luna, from New York. I'm listening to your podcast. This was a couple weeks ago after Christmas. He goes, caught 3 strays in your podcast for no reason. So you specifically said the lines, you'd rather have them in the playoffs every year so the rookies can get used to being in the playoffs, unlike the Giants. You could have said the Raiders. So, Luna, this is a formal apology. We will do our best not to.
Hey, you guys got Harbaugh. You're happy now, right? You got rid of
actually
Shane
haven't
Bowen
talked
and
about
you
it.
got
I should have asked him
Harbaugh,
ahead of time.
so.
But so this is a formal apology to Luna and New York Giants fans.
But you got to admit though, the Shane Bowen thing was funny.
That was funny.
go-
He's gone. So
I know, but it's still funny.
So
He'll go cry himself to sleep on his 4 or 5 NFL championship.
So Luna, if you're tuning
rings.
into this one, we need a new soundbite. Find out one of his Harbaugh's coordinators that you want gone.
yeah, there we go. All right. So I believe that was Brad. Josh, we got you, Cousin Lyle.
I mean, my lowest point was that back-to-back Steelers and Vikings losses, but we've already talked about that a little bit ad nauseum, so I'm going to go to a different one. That opening day loss to the Packers, we're just all charged up and ready to go.
That
We're
watch
out.
party was tough.
We're out in the barn for the first time all year. Everybody's ready to roll, and there was just nothing about that game. You had Tesla in the last 3 minutes or whatever. I'd already left at that point.
That's right.
I didn't even see it until I saw the replay later. So in terms of there was deflating moments all year. That was definitely one of them, and it was just such a bummer to get it started off. Now again, I think we went on the 4-game winning streak right after that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking it was it was just it was a blip on the radar kind of a thing, but it did portend a few things that ended up haunting us through the year. And I want to make sure to say, I know we're talking a lot about the refs costing us being in the playoffs, but this team was not good enough this year. I wouldn't have had a lot of faith for them in the playoffs anyways.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
They don't play their players in preseason, so they're not ready. And that, I'm infuriated because you pay money for those games and you're not seeing good quality. They're testing their rookies. Test your rookies somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's why they kind of went a little bit more to the joint practices. But the other thing to think about too is I think there's still serious talk about making it an 18-game season, which would eliminate
Another
a third
preseason
preseason game. So it's even going to be a shorter evaluation period.
Play
for
them,
that, so.
play them that game
I think they
before.
Yeah, I think they at least need to get one series. I harken back to when was it James Stewart? We had him and we ran him like crazy in the preseason and
ended up getting injured. Yeah.
I understand that,
so.
but you take that. Someone could get injured the first game. So what much difference is it to me?
And
You know.
games
So,
that count,
anyways,
games that
I didn't want to carry that very long. Other than
don't. I
Then
expected
they
that
did-
to come
Dad,
in.
they need to play
Well,
their players in the preseason because we pay good money to see those games.
well, I'll say this. I understand what Josh is saying, and I would agree 100% with Josh. But the bottom line is, Dad, they're getting hurt anyway.
Yeah,
So maybe you're right.
Well, last point I'll
Yeah, I
make
can't
on it
believe-
is
all right,
Brad,
jump in the lake.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, now you're back on me.
You're back on dry
you
land.
jump in a lake.
That's right, okay.
You jump in the lake.
I got your number on this one, Brad. Okay, they're getting hurt by a starter, not a third string guy trying to make a
Should we
hit
make popcorn
to
for
make
this,
the
or
team.
What do you think?
What's that?
Should we make some popcorn for this?
I think we just do we'll do a what the wrestling where they tag team them.
Yeah. No, I'll just.
Brad's
But,
a
you
traitor,
play
so
a
he can
couple
tag
of-
team on either side.
Oh no.
We lost Brad.
We are a goofy group, aren't we?
Oh yeah.
Just ask our 36 subscribers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loyal
All right.
subscribers.
So, Dad, what about you?
I would have to say every time golf didn't have enough time
Yeah, offensive
then.
line play.
because either he got sacked or he threw some interceptions he wouldn't normally do.
Right.
And, he didn't really focus on running. And also what it made him do is not look at the secondary receivers enough.
Sure, you
Because he
don't
was-
have enough time to go through your progressions.
So
St. Brown's not open.
all the time he didn't have time enough there was really disappointing for me because I think he's really good. So I have a semi-solution for that we'll talk about later.
Steve's crazy off season.
Crazy off season.
For pickup, we're moving a brick wall every 5
Yeah. So yeah, and then
Crazy as a daisy.
And I think by and far the Steelers game was probably the thing that upset me the most. I do agree with Lyle. This team was not good enough to win a Super Bowl this year. I think they could have and should have been a playoff team, but I would not be shocked if we'd be mourning a loss after Wild Card Weekend with this team the way it played on the year. One thing that I will say is disappointing, and there's a silver lining to it because the player looks pretty dang good going into this offseason. I still will stand by the Isaac Tesla take that I had. I know I talked to Lyle about it not too long after the draft. I believe Brad and I had a conversation that night. I know I was talking to Luna while the pick happened on the phone because, they traded up for it. And Tesla looks awesome. But at the end of the day, it made very little sense to me because they extend Jameson Williams either shortly after or right before, which means that they've been negotiating that for a while. And then they trade away 2 third-round picks and then did a pick swap. Those are picks that could have been used to help try and fill up the line. You have players we'll talk about later in free agency or especially in our off-season episodes that we hope to have out sometime during the off-season. There's a player specifically I would love for the Lions to trade for that having those third-round picks could help kind of sweeten the deal. And Lyle, you might know who I'm talking about, plays for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's just that to me made very little sense with how they were kind of building onto this team because J-Mo looks fantastic. He looks like he's worth that extension right now. And Tesla looks like he's worth the pick. But what you had to give up for him when he was a player that was not high on obviously the mock drafts or really anyone's draft boards. Like I would love to actually go back. I don't really have the time or honestly interest to do it, but it would be interesting to see where he was in Mel Kiper's board. And obviously Mel Kiper has gotten many things wrong. He's not, the end all be all omnipotent, but that was something that really upset me at the time. And it really upset me into the trade deadline, not seeing a move made in the trade deadline. And honestly, I was not a big fan of Brad Holmes' press conference as a fan. I don't think I need to go too deep into it because if you go on any line social media, you'll understand why a lot of people are upset with that. And I understand if the moves don't work, the trades don't work, proposed trades don't work out, you have nothing to show for it, right? But saying that we're trying and it doesn't succeed also is not really what fans want to hear.
Right.
And
you're brought in to succeed. That's what
you're brought in to succeed. I understand you can't always do it. And, regardless, though, that Tesla pick, once again, not the player, what we had to give up for him, didn't make sense at the time. To me, it still doesn't make sense. And there is a chance that could really affect the Lions going into next season. But I think there are still a lot of things to look forward to. We're going to have players come back healthy. We have rookies who, got a lot of reps this year, especially Ratledge. Tyleek looked really good in his reps too. And we have second-year guys who got more experience under their belt or who are at least healthy enough to get into play, like Mekhi Wingo. Mahogany will come back healthy and stronger than ever with more experience under his belt. So, but we are going to move on from that.
One thing that we did forget in terms of least favorite thing.
Yeah.
A crucial part of that offense.
Yeah.
After the Commanders game, losing Sam Laporta was bigger than I think.
I think Laporta and Kirby were, I think, the single biggest injuries. Laporta, especially with the offensive line play being as bad as it is, he's one of the best safety valves in the entire league, and Goff definitely looks to use him heavy. And then Kirby, I mean, the Lions this entire Dan Campbell era are notorious for giving up big plays, but Kirby Joseph being out there in center field took away the entire middle of the deep field. And so you saw guys like Jameis Winston go out there and just chuck balls deep, and they made plays on our practice squad guys filling in.
They had him for a safety at one point.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things where it's, but at the end of the day, every team gets hurt. I mean, we're seeing the Niners, right? And Brad will back me up on this. The Niners are more injured than anybody.
Right.
And what are they doing? They're playing in the divisional round this upcoming weekend, and playing pretty darn good, even with nobody. But then there's the argument to coaching, right? Johnny Morton was honestly very disappointing on the year. We did put up some points in games. Yeah, the statistics or stats do look pretty good if you look at it just in a vacuum. But at the end of the day, the Lions' offense definitely didn't feel as good. Montgomery wasn't as used. The running game seemed very stale. And overall, it was a disappointing season. There were some very high highs, but there were more lows, and it's amplified by the success we had in the regular season last year, going 15-2 and getting the 1 seed. So, so we're going to move on to some of our off-season stuff that's happened over the last week.
This is our time. This is our turn. No more losses. No more pain. Detroit Lions.
All right, so we got a list of some off-season news. Now, this has not been updated since yesterday, since last night. So if anybody has follow-ups to some of these, look at me becoming really prepared. So first of all, for the Associated Press, All Pros, the Lions got 4 All Pros this year. We have two first.
I think did that lead the league or at least I think there was maybe one that had 5 and then
they had one of the
4.
higher amounts.
Yep.
On the first team, you had Penei Sewell, arguably the best tackle in football. Probably his worst year as a Lion, but nonetheless, still one of the best tackles in football, first-team offensive line. As well as, and I've been pounding the table saying it all year, Jack Campbell, all-pro linebacker, baby.
Earned it.
Let's go. Big ups, Jack Campbell. Screw everybody who said he was a bad pick at 18 in his draft. He was an absolute stud, has been the last couple of years. On the second team, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, he was 3rd or 4th in receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. Aiden Hutchinson coming back, making a claim for most for comeback player of the year in the NFL awards this year at defensive end, 14.5 sacks. Guys, any thoughts on our 2 All-Pros here? And obviously PFF had, I think Jared Goff as one of them as well, or one other guy that I forget, but any thoughts on any of these All-Pro nominations here?
Well, I think the most exciting thing is that all 4 of these guys, maybe Amon-Ra has kind of reached the pinnacle, honestly. Yeah. I think if for 1,400 yards, I think that's going to be something tough to beat there. But the other 3, Penei Sewell, I still think he's got room to get better.
He's 23 years old.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Linemen don't become their best versions of themselves till their late 20s usually.
So you've got him out there, most athletic, offensive lineman I've ever seen. Jack Campbell, like we said, he's just continuing to grow, and he's going to get better. There's going to be still some facets of his game. I still think he can get better in coverage. I still think he can get better as a blitzer every once in a while.
He was 3rd in the team with 5 sacks.
Yeah, and then Aiden, of course. I think I to have a 14.5 sack second team All-Pro season and be like, I think he can do better than that.
Yeah.
So I think the most exciting thing about it is that these 4 guys are guys that are going to be getting more. They're going to get more All-Pros. Yeah. They're going to get more of these accolades going forward.
Yeah, I mean the three guys minus Amon-Ra, because wide receiver is just such a diluted position as far as, and there's arguably there's never been more talent across the league at wide receiver than right now. But the other guys, they're looking to become staples in their position, right? Just complete standouts, and they're all so young. And I know Brad predicted Hutchinson would break the sack record this year, and there were times where it looked like he might have. And even then, 14.5 is nothing to be bummed about.
Like fourth in the league or something?
He's like fourth in the league. And once again, I think there were a lot of games we all felt like Aiden wasn't anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that it's going to be awesome to see. I mean, he got through a whole season healthy after coming off a horrific leg injury. His leg snapped in like 4 places. That was horrific against that Cowboys. But yeah, so if Brad says it going into next year, if we continue the podcast, and he says that he's going to break the NFL record next year, I honestly, I'm gonna put some money on that because I have a good feeling about Hutch next year, especially if we can get through this whole offseason healthy. Yeah, any thoughts on the All Pros before we move on?
We didn't mention Gibbs.
He wasn't an All Pro.
He wasn't an All Pro though.
Yeah, but
I know, but
him getting snubbed.
Yeah,
snubbed like Goff,
Yeah.
Well, I would tell you if they had at like week 11, week 12, he was definitely first team All Pro, and obviously
it would be him and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah, Jonathan Taylor nowhere on this list to be found either, and they were the top 2 running backs, and it was just one of those things. It's not on Jameer, it's on the offensive line, but hey, the voters are going to look at the numbers more so than necessarily the player at that point.
And Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy that maybe 3 or 4 teams in the league would not pick Jahmyr Gibbs over their running back. Every other team, if they had a chance to just take Jahmyr Gibbs, they would in 100.
So I kind of disagree a little bit because when Gibbs is rocking, he has some characteristics that you could say mirror Barry Sanders.
Oh yeah. There was definitely some comparisons going on there at one point.
So when you talk about talent, he should be a consideration.
So talent has nothing to do with the All Pro list. It's all statistics and performance, and they always are going to look at performance and the performance of the team, which is another reason why it's a little shocking to see 4 All Pros out of the team. But you have guys who are top of their statistical category. I mean, Jack Campbell was top 3 in tackles, and his impact was undeniable. Sewell is just one of the best, if not arguably the best tackle in football. So offensive line just tend to get a nod because they don't really get stats other than, how many sacks do they allow? And he allowed 2 on the season, I think.
And Sewell, he said this wasn't his best year of football.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we said. It might have been like his worst season of
but for him to
still be a first-team All-Pro out of it.
Yeah. When he, obviously your worst critic is usually yourself, but...
Yeah. So now we're getting to stuff that might be a little outdated. So, fellas, please step in as I talk. So now we're going to talk about some departures that we've had. I believe we haven't had any players fully depart yet. I know that there were talks about, a number of players, specifically practice squad guys, were signed to, certain kind of contracts, futures contracts and whatnot, but we won't talk too much about that. But first, let's get the big one out of the way. Offensive coordinator John Morton, in his first year as the Detroit Lions, only year as the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, was fired, let go from his position.
Not exactly shedding a tear there.
Not exactly. I think all of us are with you there. And then Tyler, I don't know how to say his last name, Rowell.
I think it's Roll, yeah.
Yep. Tight ends coach, he was not fired, but rather he was hired as the Iowa State offensive coordinator, so moving from the NFL to college in a much bigger role. And then as well as that, we have a couple coaches, front office people that have been going to interviews. Here are just a couple that have been reported. Was the chief operations officer, Mike Disner, very a front office guy, instrumental in the building of the current Lions regime going on. He's currently interviewing with Atlanta to be their GM. Originally was going to also be their president of football operations, but Matt Ryan, former great Atlanta Falcons quarterback, did get that fairly recently. Calvin Shepard, a lot of criticism for him, but he gets an invite to interview as the Miami Dolphins head coach. And we'll get more into why they're interviewing for a head coach shortly. David Shaw pass game coordinator, a guy that a lot of people were excited about as a potential interim offensive coordinator. If Morton doesn't work out, he's interviewing with Tampa Bay to be their OC. Jeff Modkins, he's an assistant special teams coordinator. He's interviewing to be the Tampa Bay special teams coordinator.
Yeah. I mean, I out of those, I don't see a lot of concern about Disner. Disner's got a chance. I mean, he's been there for a long time, and he's been obviously very important in their drafting and their signing of guys, contracts. I think he's a cap guy. So
the coordinators, I think, are the two big ones,
Yeah.
just because you bring in two first-year coordinators. One's fired. One's already potentially being lured away to a coach, which I think they're just doing their due diligence.
Right.
He is a former Miami Dolphin linebacker. And then the Lions, they're on record. They interviewed, 20-something guys last year. Only like 6 were reported for their offensive coordinator spot. They already have interviewed a couple of people. This week they interviewed Mike McDaniels, former Miami Dolphins head coach, for their offensive coordinator position. You got T. Martin, the Ravens quarterback coach, worked with Lamar Jackson, helped to get Lamar to be where he's at. Mike Kafka, New York Giants offensive coordinator, interim head coach, the guy who decided to start Jameis Winston, the guy who almost beat the Detroit Lions.
and they had a heck of a game plan for that game. They should have probably should have won, I guess. But
And then they have also offered to Jake Peets, the Seattle Seahawks passing game coordinator, another hot name, especially for a guy who's doesn't have the proven offensive coordinator stuff, but it's somebody that a lot of Detroit Lions fans are talking about.
There was they also, I think, they not on this list here from we haven't had Zach Robinson, Atlanta offensive coordinator, but not going to be back because Raheem Morris is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also interviewed just today Arthur Smith, which Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator, former head coach, a lot of experience, but there's some kickback on that one. A lot of people don't like his offense.
Well, there's also the fallback safety valve of Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah. As
did I say that?
Why
Did I do that?
Why is he even being mentioned?
Oh, because
he's a former Lion.
Former Lion. He's
a talking head.
Yeah, he analyzes the film.
He gets on Pat McAfee's show.
Yeah. Riles up Evan Fox,
He
does.
Yeah.
I have one thing to say about that. I know none of these guys, whether they're going to be good or not, but they use the Johnny Morton. Isn't that his name?
Yeah.
Johnny Morton.
Was his name.
Johnny Moe.
Yeah.
He's not dead, just fired.
Right.
He's
job.
dead to me.
He knew Dan Campbell. They supposedly worked together.
Oh, yeah.
But no one talked about him raising the bar, performing to raise the bar. I'm saying bring somebody in that'll raise the bar.
Yeah, that was the thing when Morton came in and he was just like, this is already self-done. All I got to do is kind of babysit. It was kind of the attitude.
Yeah, we saw what babysitting did.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I agree with you completely, Steve. They need somebody that's going to come in, challenge some things, challenge some players.
Even outdo Ben Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Expect that.
And there's
not
really
just accept it.
Yeah, I think there's really only one name on there that
could elevate.
Yeah,
but we'll get
and he'll be on the sideline if that's the case.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and we'll get to
that.
that.
He'll get a head coaching job, you mean?
No. He won't be up in the booth.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go into it in a minute. But before we start talking about, what we think of who we want to hire, we're just going to talk about some notable free agents, guys whose contracts are up for the year. We had about 27 to 29 players. I only put guys who are we would probably recognize. So on the offensive side of the ball, we have a little less notable names. We have Khalif Raymond, wide receiver. We got offensive lineman Dan Skipper. I'm going to skip that third one to the end for a second. We have Tristan Colon. Hold on.
Hey,
why?
He had to look.
I'll explain in a second. We got Tristan Colon, offensive line. Coyote Awashika.
Coyote, yeah.
Yeah, offensive lineman. Shane Zylstra, tight end on offense. And, of course, everyone's favorite, especially this guy to the left of me, Tom Kennedy's contract is currently up at the start of the year or at the end of this year. However, he is signed to a futures. The Lions still hold his rights as an undrafted player. On the defense, we got some more noticeable names here. We got Al-Quadin Muhammad, 11 sacks this past year.
Big year.
Big year for Al-Quadin Muhammad. You can see that even though he's about 29 years old, a little bit on the older end as far as an NFL career goes for defensive ends. You can see him. He might be able to command some money getting 11 sacks. You got Amik Robertson, one of the only corners that stayed healthy pretty much the whole year. And
can't bury what comes from the dirt, baby.
You can't, except for if you're like a wide receiver one that isn't Justin Jefferson. DJ Reader, free agent acquisition a couple years back, a standout the past 2 seasons. Not so much this year, but nonetheless a more experienced all-around defensive tackle this year. Got Alec Anzalone back in this list. He came back on a 1-year deal with a lot of incentives. There are a lot of people want him to come back, but with the actions that the front office took, and the inability to get a true deal done, I would say he's pretty safe.
Congrats on baby number 3, by the way. Though.
Yes. Yep, a father of 3. Yeah, Rock Ya-Sin, Roy Lopez, and we'll jump into those. Cornerback, defensive tackle, both on 1-year deals to the Detroit Lions this offseason. We got this guy, number 44, Malcolm Rodriguez. His
rookie season rookie contract is done.
Rookie contract
That's
is
crazy.
up. You got Trevor Nowaski, Swaginaw Valley State legend right there.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I know, right? You got Avonte Maddox, once again, another 1-year deal guy. Levi Onwuzurike, his rookie contract's up, as well as Josh Paschal, both defensive linemen, playing the tweener role. And then Grant Stewart, who came in to be kind of that germ role, that Jalen Reeves-Maben role, to a less significant degree.
Yeah.
And that's on the defense. So obviously some very noticeable names, obviously a pretty strong reaction from Crazy Play Steve over there. But yeah, so anybody want to speak really quick on a player that they are worried about?
Well, I can speak
losing?
on a player that I have plans for him.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that they'll do it.
Who's that?
They haven't listened to me all year.
I know.
Yeah, they
Oh,
have.
Rory
Come on,
did,
Brad.
at least.
What about the drones?
Brad, all right.
Anyways,
Turn your tape recorder on. Let's go.
Until they solve protecting Goff, I want Rodrigo back there
As a fullback?
as a fullback.
Oh, the old
And
fullback role.
You got some reps
You
over
know
the last
that
year, the year
you
before?
know that
Caught a
guy in the
pass.
replacements where they said, "Danny, get me the ball."
That's right.
You meant-
That's my Rodrigo.
He's too busy
put-
directing Iron Man.
No, that's what Rodrigo. He'll be back there and he'll protect Golf better
Using
than
those
most.
those wrestling leverage moves,
Yeah.
flipping guys over his
head
shoulder.
tossing Jason Kelsey.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And when you give him, Danny, get me the ball, you say, Rodrigo, get that guy.
Yeah. All right. Brad, any name from that list that you'd hate to see leave? I think a good point.
Man, that was a big list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they re-sign Rodrigo too, just because I don't think he'll be that expensive, and he's a fantastic 3rd, 4th linebacker.
He's started his rookie year. So
Yeah, I mean, I think Muhammad's gone. I'm trying to think who else you said on there. Oh, well, we got to re-sign all the rookies, right? I mean, we got to re-sign. I mean, none of them are quote unquote free agents, but you got to re-sign them all, and they only got $4 million in cap right now, so they got to do some magic with their finances.
Yeah, do some restructuring.
Yeah,
some
I
players
think
go.
obviously
That's
it
the
starts
bad
with
thing about
golf.
Jack.
And, yeah.
Well, they got to sign Campbell, Gibbs, Laporta,
Branch.
and Branch, and that's the bad thing about Campbell getting
That generational draft
all
class.
pro, because he's going to get a big one.
Yeah,
Well, let's offset it with maybe something they can get on a bargain with Branch.
yeah.
right
Well,
now.
don't forget that Golf is one, St. Brown is another. They have talked about restructuring to help.
Yeah.
I
those
mean,
guys
they're
stay.
going to have to restructure.
A lot of
those
team players
contracts.
will do that. I mean,
Yeah.
Stafford did that when he was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember if Sue did. I think he did, didn't he?
No, because that was the
Suited.
big thing is they wouldn't pay him.
Oh, that's why.
Anzalone was on that list, right, Jake?
Yeah.
I'll say Anzalone because, I think they probably will let him go because, again, they'll sign Rodrigo instead of him, because he's gonna want a big contract, and
Yeah,
Or,
still one
you
of the
know,
best coverage linebackers in the league. So
I think releasing them by a certain date saves them some money.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's maybe like $6 or $8 million they get from that. So,
Yeah.
I loved Anzalone. He's been there since the start, and he's been a fantastic player for him.
Well,
Yeah.
Campbell's stepped up. That helps.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then I think drafting a higher draft, use it as a linebacker.
Well, I don't think you need that, Dad, because you got Barnes, and he's already signed. And then that other guy, is it Stewart?
Stewart?
I mean,
He's also on a free agent. He was on a 1 year
but
deal.
you probably get him on a cheap contract as well, and you got your linebackers. You need your draft picks for, defensive and offensive line.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay. Josh.
I mean, obviously, just over the past few years, all these guys have had a special place in the fandom's heart, mine too. So it's kind of one of the reasons why I like pro football is you can get used to a team having certain players,
Yeah.
But when we start losing them, if Stafford's in our way, we're going to boo the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Loved him when he was here, and right now I'm rooting for him, in the playoffs. So,
Well, I know what you're
I'm rooting
saying.
for
and
Sam Darnold in the Seahawks. I'll be honest.
If Campbell or Goff or St. Brown were not there, it would not be as interesting of a game for me.
No.
And I would lose interest, and then I'd be heading for the way that who needs season tickets.
Yeah. All right, Lyle.
Yeah, there's some guys that I've already kind of,
Crossed
decided to, yes, you're just AQM. They're just not going to be able to afford him, and as a part-time a part-time player, DJ Reader, I think he's kind of at the end.
Yeah.
It's
too old.
Yeah, Anzo, I think they already kind of set expectations for everybody just to be like, don't really expect him back here. I'd love for them to find a way to re-sign Amik Robertson. I think he fills a role on this team.
Yeah.
Very
not
versatile.
A starter, but if he's your fourth cornerback, that's
huge in there. I thought Avonte Maddox played well when he was in there. Roy Lopez. I mean, if we keep, I would rather keep Roy Lopez than DJ Reader.
Oh, 100%.
Even
I would
if
arguably start Roy Lopez over Aleem McNeil.
Yeah, well, the way that he played this year, I'm hoping that there'll be a little bit of a bounce back second year off of the injury kind of a thing for Aleem, because that was very disappointing what happened in the second half of this year with him. And then you get some players on here, Onzarike, Josh Paschal, players that were second-round picks that just didn't pan out. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
So franchise tag, are these guys that? I mean, this is the one thing I never quite understood.
Yeah, Lyle or Brad, you guys may be able to answer that a little bit better.
Well, yeah, you don't want to franchise anybody like that. I do. They haven't used the franchise tag in
years,
at least 6-7 years. I see that.
Probably like
I think it's a Gibbs. I think Gibbs is destined for it just because of the position he plays and that second contract. I don't know if you're going to extend him out. You got the 5th-year option already done, I think, and then you can franchise a couple of years, and then that's probably it for Gibbs. I think that's where we're at with that.
It's tough, yeah. Yeah. So
I never quite understood that aspect
you're
of
good.
the whole thing. So.
Honestly, there's not too many players on here. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
The franchise tag basically is I think it depends on position, but it's a franchise tag you have to get the average of the top 5 salaries or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a
really high price tag for 1 year, but they have to stay with you. So, and they used to be able to not be able to trade a player under franchise tag, but I think you can now.
Yeah, I think you can.
I thought I heard that Campbell and Holmes were dead set against ever franchise tagging somebody.
They definitely don't like to use it. Like I said, they haven't used franchise or transition tag in any of their years here. So I think that they, obviously they like to sign their own. They like to do it early if they can. and that avoids some of that. But I think we're going to get to a point where you're just pinched now, and it's either going to be, are you going to sign Jahmyr Gibbs to a 4 or 5 year deal and risk injury and what happens to him running out of gas later, or are you going to franchise tag him and pay him that salary that you would get anyways if you're signing that, but not be tied to him for extra years? It's a tough one.
I think though the Lions with Campbell and Gibbs, they can force them into one more year, and it's kind of like a franchise tag because they make quite a bit of money that 5th year.
Right.
Where I don't think they have that with
Laporta or
Branch and
Yeah, a lot of times for a first-round pick, and I've seen it on running backs quite a bit, just because the nature of the position is they could be the best player in the league one year, and then next year they could be absolute dog water. I think David Johnson was an example of that for the Cardinals. He was a running back who played out of his mind. A lot of guys took him in fantasy.
Yeah, number one fantasy, yeah.
And then he either got hurt or he just significantly underperformed almost immediately throughout that season and lost people leagues. But, yeah, out of this list, there's not a lot of players here that I would be super heartbroken to lose. On the offense, honestly, if any one of these guys left, like I'm fans of most of them. The Tom Kennedy one, I think he's coming back. Skipper, if they really wanted him back, nobody wants Skipper, so he could always come back.
He might not want to come back. Yeah. He might be retiring.
He might be retiring, yeah. Khalif is probably the single biggest loss here, and even then, if you ask friend of the show, Tyler Brown, get rid of Khalif, so then Tesla becomes wide receiver 3 and is actually out there. But at the end of the day, Khalif Raymond is a weapon. He theoretically could ask for more money, but he is a wide receiver on the older end.
Huge culture guy, though.
Huge culture guy. One of Amon Ra's best friends. So there's always that conversation of how much do you slash up the locker room, right? Like, Amon Ra was really sad when DeAndre Swift left. He's talked about that on the podcast. On defense, I think the big thing about this list, I would rather they bring AQM back, but he's not worth the money. He's just too inconsistent.
They're saying it's going to be like 11 or 12 million a year.
No.
Man.
I would love to bring Amik back, but he's got to come back on a cheap deal. It's the one maybe silver lining to him kind of having a down year is maybe you can bring him back for cheap. Send DJ Reader gone. I appreciate his time here, but he's old. We have defensive tackles. We have 2 young defensive tackles who are looking like they could be pretty good, or at least Amik will, or Tyleek. Anzalone's gone. You want to
trade Aleem, don't you?
I do want to trade Aleem. Bring back if we can get them for cheap. Rock Yasin. Hold on, Dad. Rock Yasin. Let me finish my thought. Rock Yasin, Roy Lopez, Avante Maddox, all guys I would love to bring back if we can get him for cheap. Rodrigo, I want him back because he's a starting linebacker on a handful of teams in this league. But if he's your 4th best linebacker, that's a good problem to have. Trevor Nowaski, he's a special teams guy. Maybe a team will want him, but whatever. Not the biggest fan of Josh Pascal, I'll be honest. No offense, Josh. Same name.
Our club is going to be all up in your business.
The Joshes are coming for you.
And sorry, Dad, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Well, I went to get Aleem's autograph and signing, and he didn't appear twice. And one of them I heard that either his house got broken into or there was some damage by fire. I forget which. So he was sidetracked a little bit because of personal problems.
And he was coming back from injury too. I will, yeah.
But he had that going on as well that might have took his mind away.
So one of the big things about Aleem McNeil, though, Dad, is, and this is the reason why I'm saying the whole trade thing, because prior to his big contract he got, he was a dynamite player, one of the best pass rushing defensive tackles in the league. However, the Lions signed him to a contract that makes him a top 5 paid defensive tackle. Obviously, he got hurt last year. He didn't look super great last year, but he was not bad. Got hurt late in the season, took him out for a good half of this season. And since he came back, Roy Lopez has outperformed him by a significant margin in the exact same amount of games in the exact same time span. Now, once again, he had more of an all-healthy season, but you're paying a guy top 5 position money in the league in a position that a lot of people would not call a premier position. And if you can trade him away for either draft picks and to get some of that contract off, that can free up money to make other plays, to bring back players like Rodrigo and some of the other guys. Maybe even do a swap where now you can pay AQM for a year. But we'll talk more about that in a future episode.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about some stuff we'd like to see in the offseason the Lions to do. So obviously there's a big hole at offensive coordinator. I'm going to ask you guys for either a name or, if Dad for example, Dad doesn't know some of the names, or Josh might not know some of the names, or I might not know some of the names, just some qualities you want to see in an offensive coordinator. So, Dad, what are some qualities you want to see in the Lions' next offensive coordinator?
Let's see. I had one thought here.
We'll come back to you while you're thinking about it.
Okay.
Let's start with you, Josh.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think everybody's favorite would be McDaniel, just because he seems like a good counteraction to Ben Johnson. And he, I don't know if it was true or not. I did see it. Did he actually go into to the fans and say, "Hey, what should I call next"? Was that legit?
There is, yes. That is a clip from a game.
Okay, that's legit.
I think it's when he dropped 70 on the Broncos when they had a great defense, yeah.
So, that kind of cockiness does scare me a bit, only because, is that a Jekyll Hyde thing? But the one thing I did like that apparently he said was he would take a great OC job over a head coach job. So I think
there are lots of head coach jobs out there. That's for sure.
So I mean, right now he's probably leading the pack for me. And as long as he can get along, and this kind of goes when we're going to talk about the defensive coordinator if Shep goes, is he needs to fall into step with Dan and Brad.
Yeah.
And not try to, I think somebody said, and maybe it was even you, Lau, he'll be gone in a couple of years for a head coach job anyways.
Yeah.
So if we can get a couple Super Bowls from him, go for it.
So I'm gonna ask Brad to go after the three of us because I know Brad is not on the McDaniels train, not to spoil it. But I do want us to go through all our thoughts so then Brad can tear us and eviscerate us. Okay?
Throw us into the pond.
Nice.
So so we're gonna let Brad have all the ammunition, so which is why he's gonna go after us. Yeah. Lyle, what about you?
Yeah, I just think that McDaniel would be the one that he's the innovator. He's the guy. He's got the experience. He comes from the right tree. He's somebody that can come in here and probably take control, and then we can get as long as Dan's feeling comfortable with that, he can go back to his CEO role, overseeing and being more effective as the motivator and just touching on all things instead of being concentrated in the offensive play calling area. So I think that's it. Like I said, I'm worried. Obviously, it's somebody that comes in and he's looking to do a quick turnaround and be right back out the door in a year. But, that's the price you pay when you have success. So if we have success with it, I'm down with it. Yeah. I wouldn't mind Mike Kafka, the interim head coach at the Giants.
Called the play of the year with that Jameson Williams catch for a touchdown.
Yeah, it was awesome. He had some creativity, comes from the Andy Reid tree there, worked with Patrick Mahomes. I know that Mahomes and Goff are two different kinds of quarterbacks, but I think that I really think Goff can work with any kind of offensive coordinator as long as they understand what his strengths are and that kind of thing. A name that hasn't been talked about, but I know has been passed around in the NFL, Nate Scheelhaas. I think I'm saying that right. He's the passing game coordinator with the Rams. So again,
kind of really good this year.
Yeah, the Rams. They had a quarterback that had an MVP-like season that I've heard of before. Yeah. He's somebody that I think would be somebody that could maybe come in and be more of a permanent fixture kind of a thing, at least getting, when I say permanent, more than 2 years. But, of course, if you have success, you're going to move on anyways. But that might be somebody under the radar that could come in and be the next Ben Johnson, if you will.
Yeah. I am, and once again, to give Brad more ammunition here, I am such a fan of Mike McDaniels with this offense. There's a lot of parallels between the Dolphins offense and the Lions. They got a fast playmaking, explosive home run hitter of a running back, Devon Achane and our Jahmyr Gibbs. You got two dynamite receivers when they're healthy and not crazy. You got St. Brown playing kind of that Jalen Waddle possession route runner, and then you got the burner, Tyreek Hill and our Jameson Williams. You give them generally probably a better offensive line. Assumingly, they never had a Penei Sewell on their squad, as well as a top 5 tight end in Sam Laporta, at least talent-wise, top 5 tight end in Sam Laporta. And you get a guy who comes in, and yes, the price of success is you don't keep your coordinators long. Jalen Hurts, the Eagles won a Super Bowl last year. They went to 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. Jalen Hurts has had 5 straight different offensive coordinators. Some of them are fired for being bad. Some of them immediately go take head coaching jobs. Look at Kellen Moore with the Saints.
Yeah, he did a good job down there, honestly.
Yeah, but regardless, he was a great offensive coordinator for him last year. And so, but then you get guys like that where, there is an argument, right? I'll say McDaniels, then I'll go into my other point. So McDaniels is somebody where I want to look at how all the videos you saw. I mean, we saw it in person at the games. You saw it in videos on the Detroit Lions YouTube channel and their social media posts. Ben Johnson interacted with his players, and he's an odd guy, right? He's kind of like a Jim Harbaugh a little bit, just kind of an odd guy. But nonetheless, the players respected him. They saw them on their level. Granted, being a younger guy, he treated them like they were adults, right? That they were somewhat equals. Johnny Morton, I didn't get that vibe from him at all. They were all soldiers to him. They had to do what he had to do. And he sat up in the booth. He wasn't down there talking with them. I think there was that one press conference that he was starting to blame players for
threw the offensive line under the bus.
Not the type of leadership that Dan Gamble has. Mike McDaniels is going to be on the sideline. He is a guy that he's going to have this personality that I think a lot of the characters on our offense will gel with. And, there is an argument that maybe his players don't respect him. But at the end of the day, Mike McDaniels only has to call plays. He only has to draw up the craziest trick plays. All he has to do is drop 70 points, which he's done a couple of times there for the Dolphins. And the Lions are better equipped to do that. Jared Goff, way better than Tua, way better. There's always that really clip that passes around all the time about how complimentary that McDaniels is of Jared Goff, and it'd be really nice to have a coordinator come in who doesn't think, oh, Jared Goff, he can't move, he's a statue, but rather hey, Jared Goff runs that offense really well. He's a great decision maker, gets the ball out quick, great in the play action game. I'd rather have a guy come in who acknowledges how great the Lions offenses pieces are, who acknowledges how good of a quarterback Jared Goff is. And I have full faith in Jared Goff to be able to adapt to almost any offensive scheme outside of a speed option, RPO offense. But nonetheless, he's definitely easily my top pick. But then there's a lot of other guys that I think will be really, really interesting options. And then, Lyle, you threw out a bunch of names, and I'm just going to mention one guy, and I think, Brad, you might even mention him too. What about Scotty Montgomery, if we keep it internal?
Yeah, that's something I just saw recently too.
A guy who, he's been in the assistant head coach role, so he's speaking to the press all the time. So he's great in front of a camera, well respected by the players. He's been in multiple parts of that offense. Last year was the running backs coach. This year, the wide receivers coach. We saw what the wide receivers look like this year. They look pretty dang good. We saw what the running backs look like last year. They looked fantastic. So if you want to keep something internal, you're worried about these guys not, making it. Let's say Kafka, for example, he might be a good option. Oh man, but let me go get that head coaching role in Tennessee because, how many times there's 32 jobs of them in the NFL, and sometimes you only get your one shot. And the money is significantly better. So it's something where I would rather have somebody with significant experience, but if they did promote a guy like Scotty Montgomery, I would not be upset until I saw the performance, because he's a guy that clearly the players respect, and they need players somebody that the players will can either gel with, respect. And I do think McDaniels, there is that argument. I know, Brad, you texted in our group chat about the argument of that the players don't respect him. I think McDaniels can earn those players' respects because he's really good at finding and utilizing the talent that those guys have. And I think his offense is really built around a quarterback with the decision-making, the ability to get the ball out quick like Jared Goff. And it's speed kills, and he has complicated run schemes, and he's a run-first offense. They have that crazy they had that crazy passing attack over the last couple of years outside of this year. But the Lions want to be a run-first team. That's a Dan Campbell mentality of football. And I think, once again, you don't want an alpha running the offense. You want the little football nerd. And who's the littler football, more nerdy guy than Mike McDaniel?
Well, and
flashy kicks.
Yeah, if you've seen the video, he can in terms of relating to the players, he can run routes too. And I'm pretty sure that, him and St. Brown might have a little fun with that. So.
Yeah. So, all right. Now, before we get to Dad, Brad, we gave you a lot of big fans of Mike McDaniel, or at least see the vision there. What are your thoughts on it? Do you have a guy that you'd rather have the Lions go get?
Well, I would just say that, the first reason not to hire McDaniel is because, let's say Dan Campbell's walking into a conference room to meet with all the coaches. He might actually sit and crush the offensive coordinator and not even know it. and then you got to get a new one anyway. So, but anyway,
bubble wrap. We'll buy
listen, the Dolphins. Yeah. It's like mini me or something. Have you seen that little thing where he's in the baby?
The baby Bjorn.
Look at it. Brad was a college athlete. Look at the jock talking down to the nerd. What the heck?
Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing is, hey, look at the last 2 years. Miami's in like 22nd and 25th in offense the last 2 years. I don't see where he's like this awesome. I know they had one good year where they were killing, but I don't remember. That was just 1 year. And the other part of all this is, Dan Campbell has said he's not even sure if he's going to call plays or he's going to let the offensive coordinator. And Daniels is going to come there and not call plays.
Right.
And neither is any of those other guys they're interviewing. Anyway, so, there's that to think about. And that makes me think they'll go within like Scotty Montgomery or Hank Fraley. And, because Montgomery, he was offensive coordinator for Stanford under
Shaw?
Harbaugh. I think John Harbaugh a long time ago. And, he would be a guy that would say, okay, I'll take the offense coordinator and you can call plays. I don't care. And then, they kind of feel each other out. That's how Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell first started, something like that, and so I could just see that happening where he wants to keep the same style. He doesn't want to bring in a whole new style, whole new offense. He wants his offense and a guy who can call it. And, and then it looks good for your organization that you're promoting within versus, going out and getting a guy when you got good guys right there. So I don't know. They're interviewing a lot of people outside, so maybe they won't go that direction. But my gut feeling says that they're going to go Scotty Montgomery.
I mean, at the end, they got to do your due diligence. You got to test the options.
And that's what I think, last year we kind of thought, they just went with John Morton because they knew what they wanted right away. Yeah. But it turned out they did interview 20-some guys, and we just didn't know about it kind of a thing. So
not every interview is reported.
Right. So it very well could be, like you say, you look at those outside options and you look at your inside options and you make the call based on what it is. And it could be something like it's internal. I will say, if they go internal and now you come back next year and you've got Shep on year 2, we go Shep on year 2 and you go Scotty Montgomery, let's just say, or Hank Fraley on year 1 here, and it doesn't work out, there's going to be a lot of dissent amongst the fans. And I'm not saying that they should make decisions based on what they think the fans think, but I'm just saying if they don't go and they get they don't get a top name and they're going internal, you better be sure that it's going to work out, or you're going to have some pretty unhappy Lions fans out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, because we're going to move on here shortly.
I got to put my 2 cents worth.
Oh yeah, we got to get Crazy Plays 2 cents of the game. Right. Go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I look back and when I was saying that the Lions need to figure out a way to stop the running quarterback, and they did that.
Yep.
I'm almost in total shock, but they did that. Well, I want this offensive coordinator to be good enough to take us to the Super Bowl, because when you talk about the fans and the impatience, we need somebody that can take us there. Can Scotty Montgomery do it? He's been with the organization so far. He could have stepped up and helped in some way.
He was in meetings. He helped to develop some of our young good players.
Is McDaniel the answer? I think it has to be somebody almost out of the box that can take us to the Super Bowl.
JB Bickerstaff, baby. Heck
There you go. There
Heck
you go.
yeah.
But here's my thing.
Promoting
Put
from
him at
within
defensive
Detroit.
coordinator, baby.
We have a lot of good aspects to our offense.
Yeah.
We already have that in place.
Right.
What I want somebody to come in and do and analyze what these other teams were doing to be able to get to Goff so easy. Fix that. That is number one priority to fix. And people think, well, you'll fix it through the draft. You'll fix it through free agents, and money might be an issue in that one. But the draft will help out. But you need to figure out what all these teams figured out that could get past our, even though we were injured and we had less talent there, they still figured out a way. So figure out what to do so that doesn't happen. You need that.
Yeah.
So I don't care what offensive coordinator is, other than one that will take us to the Super Bowl and one will fix that problem.
Yeah, and the last thing we're going to say about offensive coordinator, because this is the
Extended
preseason
edition.
Yeah, this is extended.
Off-season spectacular.
Off-season
It's a
spectacular.
two-parter, maybe a
That's
three-parter.
right.
by
Not
the
so
time we're done.
spectacular because we hate being in the off season. But the very last thing I will say, just really quick on offensive coordinator, is I think Campbell has to pick a lane, because you look at a coach like Kevin O'Connell or Andy Reid, and I should highlight Andy Reid because Kevin O'Connell's had some good years, but has not had nearly the success Andy Reid's had. But you have coaches, or on the defensive end, Bill Belichick, right? You get these coaches that are very good, have success, or Sean McVay. Well, you could throw Sean McVay in there just because he's considered to be one of the better coaches right now. Kyle Shanahan, one of the best coaches to never win a Super Bowl. But you get these coaches who are the primary play callers on whatever side of the ball that they want to be on. And then they have this revolving door of coordinators on the other side. So then they really focus on hitting it big on the one side of the ball that they're not focused on. Dan Campbell's got to figure out, is he going to be the play caller? Because he's had games where he's done good as a play caller. He's done games where he's done bad as a play caller. And everyone has good and bad games. Andy Reid has bad games. Belichick's had some really bad games. Some games against the Lions, actually. But at the end of the day, it's just he's got to pick a lane, and that's going to really figure out what direction they go. Are they just going to get a guy who's truly just an offensive assistant, who's there to support Campbell as he's making the plays on offense? Or is Dan Campbell going to be the CEO and just, try and groom these coordinators into being the best players, of best versions of themselves as they can? But then you do get into that eventually revolving door of coordinators anyway. It's kind of ultimately going to happen, because unless you get a guy who's just comfortable where he's at, wants to stay there, or who has had success in the past and want to come back to coaching and just focus on it because they've done decently well, that's fine. But they got to figure it out, and it's concerning that they don't know. But once again, Ben Johnson, as much as we hate to admit it, because now he's a rival now, but the dude can call a game, man, and it sucks because we have to now figure out how we're going to go about it, because the Lions' offensive talent is so good that in theory, John Morton, the Lions were still a top scoring team in the league, and we got rid of our offensive coordinator. Now, once again, you watch those games, it didn't feel like that they were nearly as good, but then again, you're coming off of a historic offense from last year. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And I am just going to acknowledge, we talked about Kelvin Shepard potentially leaving. And Lyle and Josh have some notes in here. I don't think we need to really discuss it, because I do agree, Lyle, I think it is a moot point. There are a handful of head coaching, more established head coaches that could easily go to that Miami job. And I think they were just doing due diligence, checking on a guy who lives in Miami, who used to play for Miami, at least lives there in the off season. And so, there's a lot of names out there, but I don't think we need to really discuss.
If I can just one thing I want to say here. So you talked about if Campbell decides, okay, I'm going to continue being the play caller, I'm going to focus on the offense, so I need somebody to come in and run this defense for me, and we just, hey, Shep, you did a great job, or if he moves on, or if it's just, you know what, I need somebody a little bit more experienced there.
Yeah.
What about Jim Schwartz?
Jim Schwartz.
Coming
I'm
in,
all about it.
Coming in,
Just
Out of pride, he won't come back, but I am all about it.
coming
you
in
never
and
know,
being
he
the D
might.
coordinator. He's just, him and Dan are side by side. I mean, you want to talk about some fire, baby.
Yeah, he wouldn't have the challenge flag in his hand. So
Think about how scared Jim Harbaugh would be to shake their hands when they're both coming at him.
tag team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pipe dream kind of a thing.
yeah.
But I just thought I wanted to bring it up, especially because it fits into what you just kind of talked
That
about
and you
there.
can get your, the Schwartz T-shirt.
That's
Power
right.
of the
May
Schwartz
the
or whatever.
Schwartz be with you,
Yeah.
That would certainly be an interesting move.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, would.
Yeah.
Bring back the former head coach to the team that fired him.
Well,
too.
he had one of the best starts that one year. Where we were
I mean, he
5-0.
he was
Until the
he had that
Harbaugh.
little bit of a Campbell bump. They did that. They did progress up, but then they just fell right off so
And
fast.
he was the year that they drafted Stafford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And Sue.
yeah. So now we're going to get into some off-season wish lists, specifically around draft needs, first-round picks, or free agents. So we're just going to talk about some of the needs we want to see on this team. Lyle, I see you did a full mock.
I know. We're not going to. I did.
We're
that was
we're
just
not
having
going
fun.
to. We'll
with
save
that.
this.
Yep.
We'll save this because we are going to do some
Yep.
mock drafts, maybe virtually, make it easier on us to record.
And I think Kelvin
future.
wants to be part of that one too.
Yeah,
so.
we'll do some mock drafts. We'll talk about it, but expect that in the future. We'll do a little mock draft 1.0. But yeah, so we're gonna quickly go down the line, say what the Lions need personnel wise, player wise, and I guess just say probably the position of need you think the most that you want to see them pick up, either with free agency and or the draft. So Brad, I'm going to start with you if you're still on the line.
Sorry, I missed that. What was the question?
What type of player, what position of player do you want to see them take in the draft, and name one position you want to see, so preferably a first round pick, and then what position do you want to see them attempt to pick up in free agency, assuming that they can free up cap space for it?
Yeah, that's a good question. What it ends up being is, I always, you always guess the draft, like, oh, they're going to have this, they're going to get this, they're going to get that, they're going to get this. And I'm always wrong. I mean, I'm dead wrong. Let's
pick punter, Brad. Pick punter.
For example.
Please, Brad. Please pick punter.
What's that?
If you're always wrong, please pick punter. I don't want you to say the position they really need. Please just say punter.
But ideally, this is what I'd like to see him do. In the first pick of the draft, it's number 17. I think this draft's going to be pretty deep from what I'm hearing, and I bet they can get a pretty good tackle to be replacing Decker. Now, if Decker is fully committed to coming back, maybe get a tackle at another time. But let's see, what tackle you can get. And then the other thing is, in the second round, maybe they either get an edge rusher or maybe they get a guard. That's going back to what my dad said. The offensive line is the number one priority, and you have at least two holes there. Because I do believe Mahogany, I do believe in Ratledge, and obviously Sewell. So I think you need two more guys and maybe you can get those in the draft at a cheap rate, and then maybe there's an edge rusher because you are, like Jake said before, you're going to lose Muhammad, and the defensive line is the other piece of that. I think the interior is already good. Like, I think Lopez is, will come back, with McNeil and, Williams there. So, but you need somebody opposite of Hutch. And like Lyle said before, Pascal and those guys, I think they're done. I mean, I don't know how, you may give them a chance, but they better knock your socks off to make the team. So those are the positions I look at the draft. I don't think there's going to be much in free agency just because the Lions got to re-sign their own players.
Yeah. And that, that's what happens when you hit on a handful of draft picks and they just turned out being pretty good. And, thankfully in a couple of years when they have these draft picks that didn't quite so hit so well, maybe they'll free up some money to pick up more free agent players. But how about you, Josh?
O-line, obviously. But it really kind of depends on what's happening with Kirby. I'm still really suspect of.
There are some really good safeties in this draft.
I know. My big question on that is, when he tried to come back and he basically re-aggravated it, how serious is this injury? That's the one thing
Yeah, it definitely went from we'll have him for next season to does he have to medically retire?
Right.
Like where did that narrative change happen?
Yeah.
It's
I think it happened in the last 3 weeks, didn't it? So it depends on what happens to him. Obviously, O-line is the key thing, but we do have some people back, that could fill the roles and be better in their next, the next season. So it hinges on that in my mind.
Yeah. How about you, Lyle?
So yeah, so many options here. What I'd in a scenario here, let's say that they go out in free agency and they are able to get a good to above average to good to maybe even better than that center to really solidify that offensive line. All of a sudden, you've got Ratledge, you got Mahogany, you still got Miles Frazier, who we got a little bit of a taste of, but didn't get a whole lot of information on. And you've done, if you get that center in free agency, and it's tough because I don't know, again, where you're going to get the money for that necessarily, but if you find that way to free that up, I think that'd be a huge move in free agency. Obviously, Linderbaum is out there, is the biggest name.
You bastard.
That would be it's a big price tag, I think, for that. But if you can find
$20 million annually is what the report says he's looking for.
So you do that, and then that allows you to go into the draft and say, I'll take the best offensive tackle available or best edge defender in the first round there. Those are their two main spots, I agree, that you can really go in the draft for. I did indicate as well, maybe a coverage linebacker is going to be necessary if they don't sign Anzalone back. Somebody that you can sometimes pick up in the third or fourth round that's got
There's some
a little bit more
options,
skills. Yeah. So those are the things that I'm focusing on. I don't know a whole lot about free agency, but that would be the one spot if I could pick. I want a free agent there. And then that just gives you so much room to decide what you want to do with the rest of your draft.
Yeah, one of the only times I really hate being the last person to talk, because I had a whole thing about Tyler Linderbaum. But yeah, so I think that you could do some really interesting things. Offensive tackle. So I've watched a lot of mock drafts either on YouTube. Mel Kiper and Field Yates have been starting to post theirs a little bit, and the consensus I'm seeing is defensive end or potentially a corner. I've seen some YouTube drafts with corner. I see the vision. I appreciate the vision. I'm the guy who said, draft a freaking D end. This is the year I don't say that because we need a tackle. Assuming, as Brad said, right, you maybe postpone the tackle in the draft if Decker's for sure coming back, because assuming he comes back healthy, you still got a starter, regressing a bit, but you do have a starter there. I think, assuming I'm going into this offseason assuming Decker's going to retire. I think the writing's on the wall there. I think you bump Penny to left. You put the best tackle in football over there on the left. You have him guard Goff's blind side. You draft a tackle in the first round. Now, once again, if they go corner, and it's somebody like Jermod McCoy or Mansour Delane at LSU, that I'm kind of like, I see the vision. I appreciate it. That's supposed to be a guy who can be a superstar, a lockdown corner, a Sauce Gardner, first year on the New York Jets type of guy. But at the same time, there's some really good defensive ends in this draft. It's a very deep class. I'd be very sad not to see one with our first 3 picks, preferably our second rounder, because you do need somebody there. Maybe 2 throughout the draft. I know a lot of my mocks, I've been drafting at least 2, so you at least get some depth.
I did that as well, yeah.
It's just that's a position we just don't have enough players at. No. But Tyler Linderbaum, and we have to figure something out. But, man, you get the 25-year-old Tyler Linderbaum looking to leave the Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry offense in Baltimore, and you find a way, whether you trade away Lee McNeil, you restructure some players, you let go of guys like DJ Reader, even a David Montgomery, save yourself $6-7 million, and we'd hate to see him go. But you get a 25-year-old, one of the top upcoming centers in this league. You put him on that offensive line. You got Penei Sewell, who's 23. You got Christian Mahogany, who played most of the season hurt, but you put a good center next to him. You put Tate Radledge going into his second year, and then you know what? You just got to find a tackle somewhere, whether it's a veteran guy you pick up or you draft a guy in the first round, and that you're set theoretically for years on the offensive line. You're set for years. Because you got Mahogany. This is why I'm pretty optimistic about this offensive line. You got Ratledge. He had some games that look pretty damn good, but he's a rookie, right? He gets rookie growing pains. He gets that excuse. You got Mahogany, who was hurt, but he had some games he was pretty good, and he played really good at the end of last year in his rookie year. assuming they're coming back, they both got much more experience now going into this upcoming year. You get a good center there, get a free agent center there. Whew, it's looking good. I like it. There's also a lot of good centers in this draft. Matt Gulbin out of MSU, go green.
Yeah, go white.
I know he's like the second or third rated center in this draft.
I know. I was surprised when I saw that.
He keeps popping up around in that fourth round.
I like the Iowa. I like going
Logan
back to
Jones.
Iowa.
Yeah,
Logan Jones.
Yeah.
If you can get him in the second or third. Oh, yeah, we're gonna geek
we're
out
getting a little
here.
too far. The guy at Ohio State's really good too. Yeah. But yeah, so and then Dad, what would you like to see the Lions do? Maybe the first round of the draft, or picking up a type of free agent. What kind of player do you want to see?
I'm for the edge idea.
Yeah, get a defensive.
I want to get somebody as close to a Hutchinson as possible.
Yeah.
And what I need is the attention of the defense. The offense for the other team to have to pull some focus off Hutch to make Hutch's job easier. So you got to have somebody really significant in that edge thing. I understand the offensive line, and
you want Goff to have protection.
And I think the new offensive coordinator will have some influence on that one. So we got that, and if he fixes how they rush us and doesn't give time, that's a big deal. But the big one that I want to go for is a magician.
A magician.
I want them to assign him a captain role.
And hypnotize him at the coin toss.
No. He can replace the coin with his coin. That's a double head coin.
Oh, Harvey Two-Face. Yeah. Let's get Harvey down.
And then we pick at it all the time. And so we pick the ball.
And then we
take the ball first.
Then we defer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We win it every time, so we can defer every time. I like this idea, Dad.
For the magician to be signed, you probably be fairly affordable.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't looked at the salary cap numbers on magicians lately.
And just exchange the coin, be a double-headed coin, and then we pick the ball all the time.
Can you imagine Chris Angel out there at the 50-yard line in front of everybody levitating?
The crap out
Just mind freak.
I'm not playing these guys. Did
you see what he did?
You tell me that you did not expect that one.
You know what? I should have, but I didn't. So,
what position do you play? I'm a magician.
I'm a magician, Oh man, I'm a magician, Shane Bowen.
Captain magician, because he has to go
Doctor,
out for the
Professor,
coin
Captain
toss.
magician.
So
That's right.
I had the edge guy
and
a magician.
I like
that
that.
was fun.
I like that. What if we pick up a free agent that knows card tricks? Does that count?
And he's an edge guy. Wow, kill two birds with one stone.
There you go. There you go.
Miles
Now you
Garrett.
see him?
Just saying,
Now you
Miles
don't.
Garrett does play Dungeons and Dragons. Just saying.
I do have an alternative idea. We could teach Rory to flip the coin the way we want with the drones.
Well, it's the ref.
Somehow,
So you
do it with
a gust of wind that he knows exactly how it's going to flip.
or a magnet.
I like that.
Actually,
So-
you did touch on something. I would like to see a little bit more from Rory this upcoming season. That's,
Yeah.
Blue. Look at what Blue does. I want to see some stiff arms on some kids, man.
This is our Colts. This is our team.
And then shake your belly.
The other-
Yeah.
Shout out to the flow.
Pick your nose, do
We
do
love you,
something,
Flo.
Rory. The 3-1-3 thing, yeah, I get you're playing serious. It's time. Hey, even Paws is starting to get in the game.
Yeah.
That drop kick, that's fantastic.
All right.
And then for training camp, they need to
This is a future episode, but go ahead. Go ahead.
for training camp.
The teaser.
You need to feed
Hardly know
beans.
Oh,
Beans
the
to
beans.
all the Lions players,
Oh, I feel
and then they practice where they
crazy play. Steve is taking us off the rails here.
they cuddle around the
Choo-choo.
referee and then just blast it. You call a bad play on us, you get it.
Yeah.
We're going to congratulate you on the bad play.
All right. All right.
Hey, boss, you can cut that one. I don't care.
Oh, man. All right. So.
I'm here to make you laugh. What can I say?
And that you did, Dad. But all right, guys. So we've had enough fun. You don't have to go home, but you can stay here. Though Josh will be the one telling us because we're in his house right now.
That's right.
But guys, that was our 2025 season of Outside the Den, Inside the Barn. Thank you so much for joining us this season, all 36-something of you. My name is Jake. On the phone, we got Breaking Brad. For the last time this season, we got Crazy Play Steve next to me. We got Cousin Lyle at the casino. Casino was closed tonight. Yeah. And we got Big Brother Josh. And Big Brother Josh, I didn't bring it with me today, but we have our own Dundee for you. You will be getting it shortly. But MVP, and there's a lot of acronyms here, but most valuable podcast, most valuable watch party host, biggest conspirator, Lions fan.
I'm telling you, I'm on your.
We got the reward.
I know.
Insert it here. I do have a trophy. I didn't bring it today. I'm sorry, Josh, but that is your Dundee since you're one of the only people who didn't get one. So.
Well, no, I did. I told you that.
Well, I got you one anyway.
No,
So big applause for Josh.
I was the ref conspiracy guy, but New York called down and overturned it.
But big applause. So.
Did Brad get his?
No, I have his someplace upstairs.
We'll see Brad. We'll see Brad soon. But fellas,
I don't even remember what it was.
Well,
It might have been.
All right,
maybe
fellas.
he shows up. Maybe he doesn't.
all right. Good night, Brad. We'll
Thanks
talk
for
to you
joining.
soon, brother.
All right.
Adios.
Take care, fellas.
See ya.
Good night.
All right, for the last time of the 2025 NFL season, one pride, go Lions, and finally, I'm going to sign us out. Woo!
Let's go.
Love you guys. Have a good night. For the love of God, draft a tackle. Good night, everybody. We'll see you again very soon.
Yeah,
But not too soon.
Yeah, we'll be out there. Don't forget, just check in with us every once in a while. We'll try to hit some of the highlights of the off season, right?
Maybe we can put a few shorts out there, right?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
We never did do
All right.
whiskey and whale routes and bourbon and blitz.
That's for season 2.
That's for season one.
Stay tuned.
And what?
Podcast over. Signing off tonight. Wyatt Intimation. Everything's alright. Tonight, Lions Nation, everything's alright.